Hi, Facebook friends. Happy Monday. Can't believe a week from today will be Christmas. I hope everybody enjoyed last week's topic that was just kind of about being kind and, giving people a smile and just being a warm person throughout the week. This week, I'm actually excited about the topic, but I want to go over the definition of mindfulness and tell you a little bit about myself because I keep forgetting to do that. So my name is Kathleen Heine. My company is called Link Golf and Wellness. I'm an LPGA teaching golf professional, certified yoga instructor and master trainer. I'm studying mindfulness right now. This is a big part of my work through movement, through just mindful training in my everyday life, and really wanting to kind of share it with everybody and share with everybody how it's kind of changing my perspective on how I live my life and how I interact with others. So let's talk about the definition, because I promised to do the definition every week, and I think I may have forgotten it last week. But mindfulness, the definition of mindfulness is maintaining a moment-by-moment awareness of your thoughts, feelings, bodily sensations, without judgment, and not thinking for a moment that there is a right or a wrong way to think. And all the stuff that I'm talking about is stuff that I'm working on. I'm not here to tell you that how you're living your life is wrong, or how you're practicing mindfulness, if you're practicing mindfulness, if that's right or wrong. It's just about creating this awareness, not only, with myself, with my husband, with my daughter, with my friends, with my community, but it's really starting to get me to think a little bit more about how we as a society interact with one another. And so what I want to talk with you guys about today is mindful connections, or being mindful how we're disconnected. And I don't really know how to define this because I continue to experience this, and it's somewhat disheartening, I guess you could say. So I'm just going to share an example with you of something that little interaction that I had this weekend. And I really believe I have these interactions more often than not. And I'm certainly guilty of doing this and trying to create more of an awareness around it so that I don't do this. And I do feel like I'm getting better. And whether you want to call it active listening, there's also different types of way to kind of think about this topic. But basically, I was having a conversation with a woman that I had just met at a friend's house. And we were chatting, and I think I tried to have a conversation with her 3 times. And I finally kind of sort of, I don't know if you want to say gave up or just decided to back out of the conversation. But what I noticed was 2 things. Number one, people do not look at you in your eyes very rarely anymore. And if they do, it's for a very short period of time. Even myself looking at this camera on Facebook Live, knowing that not everybody is joining. Hey, Margaret, thanks for joining. I was just saying I was looking at the camera thinking that nobody was going to join. But just this awareness of, are we mindfully connected to people? And Margaret, who just joined me, is a dear friend of mine, who certainly one of my friends who I have these amazing conversations with, and we clearly are 2 connected individuals, and I so appreciate that in our friendship. Anyway, so I was having this conversation with this woman, and around the 3rd time that she decided to kind of just disconnect again, I chose to just leave the conversation. And I kind of started thinking about this, and I was talking to my boomers this morning about this. And the idea is, when we're in conversation with somebody, is it possible to start to create this awareness of when we back out of it, or when we want to back out of it, or when we just blatantly back out of the conversation? And I feel like this is a possibility. And I was talking to some of my boomers this morning, and they believe it's kind of a generational thing, that, it's just the young people that are doing it because of technology and this, that, and the other. And I completely disagree. I don't care how old you are, what generation you're in. I really believe in my heart that people are very disconnected. So when I was speaking with her, the first thing was, she did have her phone, and she apologized the first time that she picked it up. And then she continued to pick up the phone. And then at one point we were actually talking, and in about a split second, she just left the conversation. And I thought to myself, is she aware of this? Which I'm certain she's probably not. I'm almost positive nobody's maybe ever told her that. I'm not positive. I shouldn't say that. But what I thought to myself is there a way that we as human beings can start to kind of pay attention to this kind of urge of this feeling of wanting to kind of back out of the conversation. I don't quite know how to explain it, but when I was thinking of it from a physical perspective, whether we're working out or doing yoga, it's this kind of sensation of, ooh, I want to get out. And my request upon myself and inviting others to kind of think about this is pay attention to that. You know, is there this kind of intuitive feeling of, I want to back out, or maybe when you back out and you turn your head away from the conversation, you think, oh my God, I can't believe I just did that. But why did you just do that? What was the feeling or the sensation that caused you to do that? Because in that moment, after the third time that this woman did this to me, it felt horrible. I felt, I don't know if deflated was the word. I felt sad. I felt like, wow, she could give two shits about me, which is fine because I didn't really know her. But I think at the end of the day, what really kind of hit me is that we all want to be connected, right? Like, you know, and I see that Margaret just posted, you know, I notice when I'm disconnecting. And I think that's so important. And I too notice that when I'm disconnecting. And my husband certainly will point that out because I 100% have my moments of being ADD and moving on to the next thing, but it is something that I'm mindful about, and I continue to try to create an awareness around it. But my question is, why? Or what gets in the way of us really being connected to other humans, and how can we get better at that? So I invite you to think of this in terms of breathing. Number one, maybe during the holidays when you're interacting with friends and family, is that you really think about, or be mindful about, because I want you to be engaged with people during the holidays, is think about your breathing a little bit, or be mindful of taking these deep breaths while you're in conversation, because I really think it helps you to kind of pause for a moment. And I think that we, you know, really need to figure out like what that is. And so this kind of pausing, there's different ways to look at it, but it's kind of this, I think there's an idea in Buddhism and Hinduism is this kind of gap, which I don't want to get into. But what I want you all to kind of think about is, if you're having conversation with a friend, or you're having conversation with a close friend, or an intimate conversation, is to just kind of check in and pause and take that deep breath and really be in it. Because I know when I'm talking to the friends that are connected with me, like my friend Margaret and Bretta, and even, you know, my husband or whomever, when you feel connected, it is such a valuable thing, and it feels so good. And if we continue as a society to keep, you know, missing each other and disconnecting with each other, it's just going to create such a gap between all of us, you know, kind of as a human race. So I'm going to leave you with one of my favorite quotes, and I hope you enjoy it, because I want to keep this to about 10 minutes, but it's not really a quote. I guess it's like a little passage, and it's called Pause. So here we go. It says, rest in the pause between breaths, pause in the rest between thoughts, bask in the space between words, and stop in the stillness between time. So I want to wish you all a wonderful Merry Christmas. I invite you to pause. I invite you to breathe. And more importantly, I invite you to be with those that you love and adore, and really stay connected, and really start to create this awareness of, why do I want to back out of this conversation? Why do I want to disconnect? And I challenge you to just stay in it. Okay, that's all I have for you guys today. Merry Christmas. Thanks for being with me today, Margaret. We'll see you soon. Have a great week.